Hey babes, it's Edna and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be about how I became a nurse at only 23 years old in New York City. And not only did I become a nurse, I make 6 figures a year as a new grad. Today is Thursday and you know every Thursday I'm going to be posting a video in 2025. I feel like my nursing content has been the most requested content that I've had ever since I started blowing up on TikTok. So if you guys are here, I'm going to give you guys a step-by-step of how I became a registered nurse with the BSN at only 23 years old. So a little bit about me, I'm a psych nurse that works in New York City and I just became a nurse about 3 months ago. I'm also a new grad nurse, so I graduated in May and I got my first job as a nurse in October. And not only did I become a nurse, I make 6 figures a year as a new grad, which is so amazing. So these are the steps I took to get where I am today. So just FYI, a lot of people don't know this about me, but my nursing degree is actually my second degree. I went to college for 4 years before nursing school where I majored in health science. But I'm gonna take you guys a little further back. So in high school, I never did anything too specific to go to nursing school because if I'm being honest with you, I knew I wanted to go into the healthcare field, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do until I got to college. So in high school, I didn't take any college classes. All I did was take a couple of AP classes. And the great thing about AP classes is if you take an AP exam and you score a 3 or higher, those classes are gonna count for college credit. So I used those AP classes that I took all the way in high school as prerequisites 5 years later for when I got into nursing school. Okay, so I graduated high school and then I went to college. In my first degree, I did 4 years undergrad where I was switching majors a couple times. I think I was a bio major for a little, a psych major, and then I finally settled down in health science. During this time, while I was taking the classes I needed for my major, I was doubling up and also taking prerequisites for nursing school. The great thing about being a health science major is a lot of the time, the classes that I had to take for my health science major also counted for credits for nursing school. What a lot of people don't know is I actually applied to nursing school before and I got denied. So into my second year of college as an undergrad, I tried applying to 2-year nursing school programs and they dubbed me so hard. When I tell you guys, I was so devastated. I was sad. I didn't know if I was good enough to get into nursing school, but I did not let that stop me. So after my second year of undergrad college, when I got denied from nursing school, I was so motivated to become a more competitive applicant. So I then became an EMS provider and then I also became a CNA. So as an EMS provider, I would go out about once a week to volunteer in a couple districts near me. And then after I did that for a while, over the summer, I became a CNA. So I took CNA classes and then I was working as a CNA at a nursing home. So I was booked and busy. I was doing college classes. I was driving out once a week to go be an EMS provider, and then I became a CNA. I was so overwhelmed, but I felt like I needed to make my application more competitive because I got denied before. After gaining all this experience, this is when I started applying to accelerated nursing programs. So I knew because I didn't get into the 2-year programs, I would just wait to graduate from college and then apply to accelerated nursing programs. So in my senior year of my fall semester of college, I started applying to so many accelerated nursing programs. This process was honestly so hard and difficult because I had to do so much research, figure out my prerequisites, and it was just a lot figuring out the differences between nursing programs in New York City. Because I had such a hard time with it, I know how difficult it is to navigate nursing school applications. So by the end of January, I'm planning to make a digital document that includes all the nursing schools in New York State, which ones are accelerated programs, which ones are 2-year programs, the prerequisites you need for it, what your personal statement or your application essay needs to look like, how to write a good resume, and how to get nursing recommendation letters. So if this is something you guys want to see or you guys need, just comment down a red heart below so I can start writing that for you guys. Anyway, so I was applying to these accelerated programs and then my #1 nursing program that I picked finally got back to me. They gave me an interview and I was honestly so nervous because I knew I got denied from this program before, but I just worked so much harder to practice interview questions, to speak to my advisors, and just make sure that this time I was gonna get a seat in that program. 3 months later, literally 3 months later, I ended up getting accepted into the program. It was honestly the happiest day of my life. I literally broke down crying. Anyway, so I finished up my senior year of college for my undergrad degree and then nursing school literally started about a week right after I graduated undergrad. So I really had no breaks, but I was happy about that because I got to go through school straight through. In nursing school, I just did what I had to do. I studied for all my exams. Everybody knows I always say I didn't read my textbooks, but that's gonna be a video for another day about how I studied in nursing school. I also was very involved in various clubs. I spoke to a lot of people in my class, and I honestly had a great nursing school experience. I ended up graduating nursing school with a 3.8 GPA, and when I graduated, that was time for me to study for the NCLEX. I don't care what anyone anybody says, do not study for the NCLEX while you're in nursing school. When you're in nursing school, that's when you need to focus on studying for your exams and passing. After you graduate, that's when you should study for the NCLEX. A lot of people always argue about either using UWorld or Archer for the NCLEX. I personally use Archer and I loved it so much. I also only studied for about 3 weeks, and I do not recommend studying for any longer than that. Some people stress themselves out trying to study for so long, and it makes no sense because the longer you wait, the more you're gonna forget all the information that you learned while you're in nursing school. So you wanna kind of keep up the pace, keep studying, and then take the exam as soon as you're ready for it. So I studied for 3 weeks using Archer. I went to take my NCLEX, and then I passed my NCLEX in the minimum 85 questions. I was so nervous about this because when you finish the NCLEX, they don't even tell you if you passed or not. They just shut down your exam, and then you're waiting for about 2 business days to figure out whether you passed or not. So I passed, and then it was time to finally start applying to jobs. A lot of my friends and people in my class applied to jobs from beforehand, but I'm the type of person that I need to focus on one thing at a time. So once I finished studying for my NCLEX, that's when I started applying to nursing jobs. Not gonna lie, applying to nursing jobs was honestly not the easiest because I was applying specifically to specialty jobs. So I wasn't applying to jobs like med-surg. I was mostly applying to psych jobs. I think I applied to a couple L&D jobs. I did some ED, but mostly I was really focused on psych jobs. When I tell you guys I put in about 65 to 100 applications, it was no joke because most of the time when you're a new grad nurse, they usually want you guys to go straight into med-surg, and I just knew that that's something I didn't want to do. So I was so vigilant with applying specifically to specialty jobs. I got a couple of interviews and I went to them, and honestly, some of the jobs I got interviewed for, they weren't the right fit. I either didn't really like the staff because I walked in and they had an attitude, or they just weren't paying enough. And some of them I just walked in and I just didn't feel right. Like, I know I was a little picky when it came to picking the job that I wanted to work at, but people don't realize that all matters when it comes to nursing burnout. You want to end up working somewhere where you know you're gonna like, because if you don't, it's gonna end up being a problem in the long run. A couple months down the line, I ended up getting an interview to a psych job that I honestly forgot that I even applied to because, like I said before, I was applying to almost 100 applications. They called me, and then I went in and I interviewed with the director of the program. When I tell you, I was so nervous for my interview because she was asking me like specific questions on my interview. She was asking me why I wanted to go straight into psych and not do med-surg, and she was really putting me on the spot, but it was such a great interview. So right after the interview, she told me to wait in the lobby, and I waited for about 20 minutes. And when I tell you guys, I literally got my offer for the job the same day that I did my interview. I ended up starting my job a month later because I had a trip planned. But that is the story of how I got my first job as a psych nurse at only 23 years old in New York City. If you guys have any questions, comment them down below. I'm gonna keep updating you guys on my nursing journey and how being a new grad nurse is. I literally get off orientation tomorrow, so I'm kind of nervous, but I'm honestly so excited because I love my job so much. And don't forget to comment a red heart if you guys want me to make that book for you that includes all the nursing schools in New York State, whether they're 2-year programs, 1-year programs. It's gonna have a list of prerequisites that you need. I'm also gonna include tips on how to write your nursing essay and how to write a really good resume. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, lots of love from your online big sis. Bye, babes.